We are back with Michael Yan, and this is the patron-only portion of the show. And I think the patrons are eager to get your take on the photographic evidence that Eli Crane and Corey Mills were referring to. So why don't I play that? In fact, it might make some sense. Let me play that, and then I'll play their testimony, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And like I said, then I want to hear more about your experience down in the Darien Gap. But I know that the patrons are eager to get your take on all this ballistic stuff in the back row because you've been doing this your whole adult life. So let's take a look at this footage. I'm going to share this on the Zoom thing. Here we go. All right, and hopefully you'll be able to see this. All right. Tell me how that's working out. You can see that?
I can see it.
All right. So let's listen to this and watch this, and we may go through it twice or whatever, but this is the net. I mean, this is what Eli Crane and Corey Mills are referring to when they say the video John Collins put together. This is what they're talking about. So let's take a look at this together with the patrons.
Like they said, take a look at what happened. What happened? Take a look what happened. Take a look what happened.
Because what you've got here, for those who can't see it, is you've got 3 events in a line, all the most parsimonious explanation for what you've got captured in this single video. We don't have to worry about aligning it or anything like that. Is you've got 3 kinetic events in a straight line that tells you had an object. I mean, in my mind, and I'm not an expert, it raises questions about what ammunition is involved. Right. But you definitely have the strong suggestion of a line that you could extrapolate from.
All right, that chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
What you know? So the issue here is that the round that's causing this puff of smoke here, the guy who's standing here with the red hat and the dark blue shirt is right in the corner, and because he's there, it means, in other words, we draw a line from where the bullet hits the railing, and we take that line back to the kid on the roof and the tip of his rifle, right? We do this in 3D. And when you do that in 3D, what it shows you is that the round, there's kind of 2 things. Let me show you here. There's 2 kind of takeaways, and that's that the round that's fired from the rooftop that hits Trump's ear can't be the same round that hits the railing, because they're not on the same trajectory line. And you'll see that here. Watch this. So the round that hits his ear goes underneath that guy's arm. But the round that hits the corner railing would have needed to go through his torso. And that's kind of the rub here, is that this guy in the corner is standing there, and in order for the round to come from the roof of AGR and hit the railing, it would need to go through him, and it's happening at the same exact moment that we hear the first shot, and Trump reaches for his ear and winces. And one of the things that Brett Weinstein said was, shouldn't we see the puff of smoke and then hear it? And I was like, yep, exactly right. There's too many ballistic events taking place downrange for the number of rounds we hear fired. And I was the first one to come forward and say, I think there's some suppressed gunfire out here. Weeks later, the Secret Service guys testify they're being shot at. And they think it's suppressed. I went out on a limb when I said I think I've got suppressed gunfire out here. All right, so do you know Clay Martin? Clay Martin was a SODIX instructor. Do you know Clay?
We've chatted, but we've never met.
He's a great guy. And
he's a Green Beret, right? He was teaching
sniper school,
sharpshooting, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So Clay Martin and I had a chance to get together on a podcast. So I don't know if you've ever done Tommy's podcast. He does a great job. And there's a guy, Tommy sets this up for me to meet with Clay Martin. And this is shortly after the event. And there had been a guy running around with his cell phone. And he's running around almost like he's got it on a leash. I mean, the thing is swinging all over the place. But he picks up some audio. And I put the audio in Audacity. And I slow it down to 10% of real speed. In order to get a better sense of what's going on here? What are we hearing? What am I seeing on the scope? And let me play this, because I shared this with Clay Martin. And he just about fell out of his chair. I mean, he couldn't believe it. And the thing that was crazy is when we had this conversation, we didn't have the testimony from the Secret Service guys. This is what I mean. I was going out on a limb. Nobody was talking about suppressed gunfire. 8 weeks later, these guys testify, we were being shot at and we think it was suppressed.
Crossed active the Army, I was a sniper and assaulter in an elite counterterrorism unit, as well as I taught level 1 and level 2 SODIX, which is the Special Operations Target Interdiction Course.
What you know about rolling down?
Oh, shit.
People talk too much, put that shit in slow motion.
Service. So I was a scout sniper in the Marine Corps. I graduated from both the Marine Scout Sniper School, Urban Sniper School, and did special operations for them. Crossed active the Army, I was a sniper and assaulter in an elite counterterrorism unit, as well as I taught level 1 and level 2 SODIX, which is the Special Operations Target Interdiction Course, Sniper School.
So you are a sniper instructor.
Yes. Yes.
So first you become a sniper, then you teach new snipers how to be that. Okay,
correct.
Fantastic.
And I also rather uniquely taught the Marine Corps' Urban Sniper course as well as a contractor. So I've taught in both services as well.
So there's probably not 10 people on the planet as qualified as you to talk about what we're about to talk about, which is about ballistic trajectories, crack thump calculations, muzzle velocity, calibers. And that's what we're going to get into right now.
Oh, shit.
Watch the little chart in the right and you'll see. It's not my imagination. Watch.
Oh, shit. I know that sound like I know the voice of my own children. That's a suppressed gunshot. And more than likely something like a 300 blackout.
What you know about rolling down?
So I'm picking this thing up on some eyewitness's cell phone, and I put it on the scope. There's gunfire before anybody realizes it. Somebody's shooting. Most likely 300 blackout, subsonic suppressed, because there is no crack and there is no thump. And if you've got a dope up on the roof shooting an unsuppressed AR going bang, 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 bang. And you got another guy shooting a suppressed subsonic weapon. No one's even going to know what's there until you find some autistic guy to slow the audio down and put it on a scope. Nobody noticed? Well, there's too much ballistic activity downrange. The round hits the railing at the same instant Trump's ear gets hit. But it can't be the same bullet. So how are we seeing the results of 2 gunshots, but only hearing 1? Secret Service testifies. They think they're being shot at, and they think it's a suppressed weapon. I think so too. So a lot of people thought that the guys who were up on that rooftop, when they flinched, they thought that was recoil from taking the shot. No, they didn't take the shot. The other guys took the shot. These guys were flinching because they were being shot at. That's kind of game changing. So they testified to this, and the committee doesn't want to talk about it.
There's a lot. There's so much, in addition to what's not right that's before us, like the Doug Mills photo. There's a lot that's missing too. Like why are there no videos? There were videos of Trump before the shooting, but not during that I've seen, unless I'm missing something. Did you see any photos from that angle, from the angle where he's at?
I've got video from behind him of him getting hit. So I've got that. So I do have video of him getting hit, reaching for his ear, which we didn't have from straight on. You're right. I don't really have, I mean, I shouldn't say that. The NTSD, Right Side Broadcasting, were on the podium as he gets hit, and he reaches for his ear, and then he goes down. So they didn't stop filming. But as far as eyewitness footage from right nearby, I've only got one from behind of him, of the moment he gets shot and gets hit. But I do want to...
Does that video show any, before he puts his hand up, does it show any evidence of, like, his ear, any frame showing parts of his ear doing something?
No, I think he legitimately got hit. I think, again, it's too tough a thing to fake, and you got people who died. I mean, so some guy got shot in the head and got his brains blown out.
That people died, that doesn't matter. They were killed. They were actually dead. And so far as the movie set, look at October's. I mean, if it was a movie set, look at October 7th. I mean, that was a clear movie set.
Yeah.
But over 1,000 people died in that one. So
yeah, no doubt. Well, let me play this testimony.
They will kill people to make it real, right?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Let's play this testimony. So this was Eli Crane and Corey Mills testifying under oath, right? So this is under oath. This is on the congressional record, and yet there was zero follow-up. So, but let's listen to this together. I think you're gonna find this fascinating again. And this is Congresswoman Laurel Lee is the one who is speaking right here. Congresswoman Laurel Lee.
Utilizing going forward, particular witnesses you think that we should have, any thoughts you have about what and whom we should be bringing in to testify?
One of the videos that I've seen online is from a gentleman named John Colin, who talks about the possibility of a second shooter, and he shows a video, Miss Lee, where in this video he shows a bullet traveling down a path, and the disruption that round supposedly makes, and then flies into one of the stadium fence railings, that shows that it would have been very, very difficult for that round to travel the path that it did had it come from Thomas Crooks. I think that you need to bring this gentleman in, see his evidence, and if you don't think it holds water, then you need to make that assessment. John Colin is somebody I think you guys should bring in here and look at the video evidence that he has of a bullet traveling in a trajectory, in a path that would not have been able to come from Thomas Crooks.
And I'd like to just echo this. The one thing that doesn't lie is bullet trajectory and also the coefficients that it carries. And I think that Eli and I had talked about this prior to the hearing, but also multiple times about John Colin's video that does show, if you look at people who were injured and the actual line of sight and where it was to the stage, just kind of what the possibilities were and how many shots were truly taken.
The most parsimonious explanation for what you've got captured in this single video, we don't have to worry about aligning it or anything like that, is you've got 3 kinetic events in a straight line. That tells you had an object, but you definitely have the strong suggestion of a line that you could extrapolate from.
So, what we ended up doing, I worked with a guy who's like a architect to recreate in 3D the venue and then map the trajectories of each one of the shots. And the only other examples of it that I've seen are not accurate. They don't account for this shot to the back railing. They don't account for the lucky guy standing in the corner in the back. And so it kind of leads me to believe that anybody else who did do a 3D model might have been funded by Langley to set people off, in the wrong direction on a wild goose chase. And the model that we've got here demonstrates pretty accurately that the shot that hit that railing could not have come from the American Glass Research. It had to come from somewhere else. And we know where it came from. It came from the tree line. And you can figure that out because, you map it in 3D and all that. And, you line everything up and you're like, okay, well, this kind of works. I mean, this makes sense. This, again, 2 points make a line. And if it's hitting the railing and it's disturbing everybody in the back row, and the 2 counter snipers testified that they thought, the guy on the right side thought it passed to the left of him, and the guy on the left side thought it passed to the right of him. And then they both looked at each other like, oh, wow. And I think as they were testifying, they realized it passed between them. And when you draw the line, it's sort of like, yeah, that's the round. But when I did all this, we didn't have the testimony. This is what I mean. I was going out on a limb. I said, guys, I'm just drawing a line from here across all the people in the back row because they all got disturbed, and it just happens to point to the Secret Service guys on the roof. It looks like somebody was shooting at them and missing. 8 weeks later, they testify we were being shot at, and we think it was suppressed. I mean, come on. Do I need to put a bow on it?
Yeah, something, I don't know what happened, but it's I don't trust anything that happened that day. We're talking about a whole ecosystem of people that just do fraud as a matter of breathing. So, it's just
what was your experience? What was your experience when you were overseas? To what extent did all of a sudden the guys from Langley show up and you're like, oh shit, now what? I mean, did you have run-ins with these guys? Did you have to participate in any of this monkey business?
You can't swing a dead cat without hitting a CIA guy. I mean, I see them like regularly still. So
what was it like when you were over there? You guys you're doing Army stuff, right? You're doing Army stuff, and then all of a sudden the Langley guys show up, and it's like, oh boy.
They're everywhere. I mean,
so give us an instance, like what you're in Mosul, and all of a sudden the guys in Dungarees show up. It's like, oh shit, now what? Give us a scenario. What was one of the scenarios where all of a sudden Langley shows up, and you're like, oh boy.
Oh, I've met 3 directors of CIA who wanted to talk with me.
Well, Petraeus is a big fan of yours, right? He's cited your work, right? He's a big fan.
Yeah, I think not anymore because I'm very anti-globalist, and I've been very clear about that with him. And he wants to rename when he wanted to rename Fort Bragg, and
right.
Yeah, it's. I find that pretty like, hey, that's enough, right? And it's like Eric Carilla. I had immense respect for Eric. He's the CENTCOM commander now. Did 5 months of combat with him. It was the most decorated battalion in the entire Iraq War. He was the 183rd casualty in the battalion. I was with him when he got shot. I gave him covering fire when he got shot. and I have immense respect for him. And then he pushed the jab like over the top, and I'm like, that's enough.
Right.
Respect only goes so far, and it's something you earn continuously, right? And you can it's like Humpty Dumpty, you can smash it, and these sorts of things, going with the globalist agenda and whatnot, that smashes it with me, and so I'm very unforgiving on that, actually, because trust is something I take sacred. And I've seen these top leaders do this repeatedly. And it's like a selection process now to give people 4 stars that should not have 2 bars, right? And there we go. So anyway, at the end of the day, somehow there was some fraud that day at the assassination attempt.
Yeah.
And I'm not even convinced that he got hit in the ear. I don't know. He may have, he may not have, but I haven't seen any compelling evidence that he did or he did not. But I could easily imagine how he did, and I can easily imagine how he did not. And we know that he's into kayfabe and wrestling and all that. So, I mean, he's a professional fraudster too. So I mean, the whole ecosystem is a bunch of professional fraudsters. This is why I don't get on a lot of big shows, right? I mean, I do, but I'm so anti on both major ecosystems. Don't want to have me around because I'm apt to say anything that I think is 24 karat truth, no matter which side it lines. I'm American, right?
Yep.
The bottom line is I'm American, and I'm very loyal to this country. Still, for some reason, I feel deeply American, right? That's why I go to places like Darien Gap, working very hard to stop this invasion. I took Brett Weinstein down there, by the way.
Yeah.
He went to the Darien, and I took about 70 people down there now, congressmen.
And his son, right? His son came with him, right?
He did, they both did great. They love the jungle, and Brett, he did his PhD work on these tent making bats, which was pretty cool if you ask me. I mean, so we're running around out in the jungle. He's showing us how they make these bats make little tents out of leaves.
That's amazing. Very cool.
But at the end of the day, there's all kinds of things going on. As you know, Israel just attacked Iran, which means obviously the United States was involved. We this weekend, we're probably going to see some violence across the United States. By the way, I've been in protest all over the world. I've been with Antifa a lot. I was with Antifa in Hong Kong, believe it or not, in Hong Kong. I was with them in Washington, D.C. I was there January 6th. I was with them in Atlanta. I was with them in Philadelphia. I was with them in Portland. And I mean, I've been out with Antifa a lot.
And
right?
you're filming?
And
you're filming most of this? And when you're there?
A lot of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Some of it's live, actually. Like, I was out at the ICE facility. After the wars, I spent a lot of, I went to 2 coups in Thailand. You've been to Thailand, of course, 6 years, I think.
Yeah.
So I was in the coup in 2010, and I was in the coup, and I mean in the coup.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And likewise in 2014, I was getting ready to go to Hong Kong to that umbrella revolution, but then they kicked off in Thailand again, so I stayed there because I had an office in Chiang Mai, right?
Oh,
so
wow.
I went down
Okay.
to, So actually in 2010, I came in from Afghanistan, directly from Afghanistan to the coup. And I was there for months, the red shirts. And
that was the real one. That was the real coup. That's when they threw out Sinawatra. That was the real one.
That was straight up. And, I was there at the Dusatani Hotel, which is no longer there. And the red shirts were out in, Lumpini Park. I was out with the red shirts all the time. Everybody was reporting, that this impenetrable barrier. I'm like, Thai army, they're very professional. They'll get through that barrier in somewhere between 30 and 45 seconds.
Right. Yes.
But they're having a bad day, 46 seconds.
Yeah.
They just ran right over it. Yeah. But I was actually in the Dusatani. Speaking of snipers, this is interesting. So I was in the Dusatani Hotel, which is right beside Lumpini Park. It's no longer there, but I stayed there. It was a 5-star hotel. I stayed there because that's where the fighting was. For instance, I got an RPG hit 3 floors above me one night.
Wow.
Right? And you can see this in the news, and 2 hit below, right? And everybody went to the basement. Anyway, you can see everything I'm telling you is easy to find.
Yeah.
And, they were fighting under, Rama 4 Bridge there and all that. And actually, that's where I got hit in the leg, in the calf. But it was, I think it went through maybe the taxi driver that got killed. You can see all these in the news because for me, it stinged pretty badly, but it didn't even break the skin. So I think it may have gone through him first. But in any case, you know, one day I was going down to, I wanted to interview Sadang. He was the Thai general who would highly respected in Thailand, but he had been seen. He was over in Dubai with Thaksin and his photos of him in his condo and in Dubai and whatnot. Eric Prince knows all these guys. You know Eric, obviously. And weirdly, I saw Eric in Thailand last year, and he was in the same restaurant as me in a hotel we were staying at. And I'm like,
the hell are you doing here? Yeah.
I said, that looks like Eric Prince. And I said, is that Eric? And I said, I picked up my phone. I said, either you're in Thailand or I'm looking at your twin. He picked up his phone and he smiled and he walked over. I was like, I'm not following you. Maybe you follow me. I don't know. But anyway, that was last year. But going back to 2010, so I was just in from Afghanistan. I'm very familiar with combat acoustics, right?
Right.
And so I was going to go downstairs to talk with Sadang. He was down there, that general Sadang, and who had been with Thaksin. And then I hear a bam, loud, somewhere right around me. It was either above me, beside me, below me, but it was very close. Clear, like rifle shot, right? He got hit in the head and killed, right? So people often, and I was talking with...
This is the general. This is the general you're there to meet. Gets hit in the head and
popped
killed.
Him right in the head. I was upstairs in my room. New York Times guy was with him. New York Times guy was like right beside him. Bullet went right past the New York Times guy, popped him in the head. New York Times guy's okay. He lived, but he didn't get hit. But, and so people often, I told Abhisit, if you look up Thailand in my name, you'll see me flying around with Abhisit and that sort of thing. Of course, he was prime minister back then. So Abhisit's like, we think it came from either the Dusatani or that other hotel to the left. I've forgotten the name. I was like, Dusatani. It definitely came from Dusatani because it came from right beside me somewhere. I don't know where, but it was right there.
Wow.
And still people are like, I remember Abhisit, or his nickname is Mark. He's like, we know it came from one of those. And pro tip, it came from Dusatani, 100%. Actually, I wonder if it was the RTA that did it, the Royal Thai Army. I don't know because because Sadang was doing treason, right? In fact, during the Thai sort of, let's say, Senate asked me to come talk in a private thing to tell them the things that not about that shooting, but about other things. And I did. And so I answered all their questions, but at the end of all that, there was the top generals and that sort of thing, intelligence guys. And I said, thank you for inviting me. But actually, can I ask you a question? Why were there approximately 2,000 casualty injuries, but only about 100 killed? And I said, given the weapons and this, that, and the other, I would expect it to be a lot more killed, actually, because it was mostly M16s and M79s, right? Or from the Royal Thai Army, it was M16s, right? And so, and they were always on semi, except for one night I heard a few bursts from what was obviously a machine gun, but it was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 bursts or something, three round bursts.
Okay.
Which, somebody, and so anyway, I asked him, why was the ratio like 20-1 on wounds to kill? Because I would expect it to be like, I don't know, 5-1. And they said, because they were instructed, our men were instructed to hit them in the lower legs, actually. So actually, I should have gone to the hospital at that time, but there was so much fighting going on. I didn't even go to the hospital to check on casualties at that level. But yeah, I mean, that coup in 2010 was quite serious, and then of course there was the one in 2014, which was pretty interesting in and of itself.
I was there for both. So in 2010, I was there visiting. And it was going on in Bangkok, but I was, down in Samui. I was down in the Gulf, so we didn't really get to see any of that. But it was certainly happening when I was there. And then in 2014, I was already living there, and that they called that a bloodless coup, because this is when
2014 was not bloodless.
Well, they call
Did
it.
They call that a bloodless?
Yeah, they call it a bloodless coup in 2014.
That would be amazingly false.
Yeah. and this
Like
is
stunningly false.
this is when the
Let
prime
me tell
minister.
you something, John.
Yeah.
In 2010, the RPG hit right above my room, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And that was when I got hit right in front of the Dusatani, right under the bridge. Or
Yeah.
I was crossing from under the bridge, and the taxi driver got killed. So you could find that in the news.
Okay.
But in 2014, when they were shooting the M Jedsit Gao, which every Thai knows what that is, M79, one hit my hotel again, and it hit right. That was at the hotel right by Democracy Monument called the right by Democracy Monument. Look at the one that got hit by the grenade, and you can see people.
It's the Grand Hyatt. Grand Hyatt.
No. It's a small hotel. It's called the oh, good Lord.
But
anyway,
not
I
Raffles.
just checked out.
Yeah.
And of course, about three or four people got killed in the Democracy Monument that day. There was blood all over the place, and the grenade hit my room, but I had just checked out, right? And so a lot of Thais were like, they tried to assassinate you. And I'm like, I don't think so, because I used to carry an M79 when I was in special forces. Sometimes I would carry an M79 and an AK-47. Sometimes I would, or an AKM.
What is an M79 for people who aren't familiar with the weapon? What is an M79?
It's a 40 millimeter grenade launcher, and that's what the Thais use. So I used to shoot that thing all the time when I was in special forces, right? So I'm very familiar with it, right? And so when I was in special forces, I either carried an M79 and an AKM, which is like AK-47. So I'd carry them both at the same time, or on different times I would carry an M203, which is an M16 with a same 40 millimeter, but it's
under the barrel.
So they're over and under,
but
right?
it's only got
it's
one.
The same round.
But it's only got one. When you have it,
one shot.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no. With that one, it's just one. Actually, I preferred the M79 because it's so much better and it's much more accurate and it's easier to shoot and that sort of thing. But in any case, people said that a lot of Thais thought they were trying to assassinate me because it definitely hit. And actually, I had checked out, but I went right back over there and I'm like, it hit your hotel, and they let me in, and I went in the room, and actually it fragged right above my bed because it hit and I got photos of all this, right? And so they let me up on the roof, and I saw where it hit it was like a tin roof, and it had
Is it possible that because you were consulting to the government that the yellow shirts freaked out and
I don't know. That would have been red shirts that would have done that. But but I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. Because I am extremely familiar with an M79, and I know how hard that shot would be to make.
I gotcha.
Yeah, that would be an extremely hard shot to make, and I would assume even if it hit where it did, it wouldn't even get me. So I think it was just a random shot.
Gotcha.
I don't think it was. And also, I was on the streets for months at a time. I was easy to assassinate. Right. I mean, I went up on the red shirt stage in 2014. I actually went up on stage with them, and everybody in the red shirts, they all knew who their headquarters was right by my office in Chiang Mai. They all knew who I was. They didn't bother me. I mean, they were. I'm tell you what, Thais are amazing people. I mean, they have so much resilience. I call them bamboo people because they can get knocked down, poof, right back up.
Yeah.
Like they get into a firefight and people are getting killed. Like 10 minutes later, they're like, let's go to lunch. I mean, I love them.
I know. I know.
I mean, they're like natural soldiers. The women too, man. The women, they don't need a psychologist. They need to go, eat lunch, and then they get back and do their thing. They don't expect to be on a psychologist couch for the rest of their life.
And everybody knows how to weld. Man. Everybody knows how to weld, right? I mean, I've seen more guys. Weld? Yeah, everybody's welding things together in flip-flops. It's it's like construction. Everybody knows how to pour concrete, and everybody knows how to weld. In Thailand, it's like it's wild.
I love Thai people, man. You just never know. Yeah,
it's an amazing
sometimes
place.
I wish I were there, but I went back last year and I was looking at the Kra Isthmus because that's where China wants to bridge across there with a railway so that they can do certain things. But that's
what's interesting? The Prime Minister of Thailand, who took over after the 2014 coup, was Prayut Chan-o-cha, and
the general.
Yeah, so he was scheduled to meet with Trump the day after the Las Vegas shooting. The Las Vegas shooting was Sunday, October 1st, 2017. Monday the 2nd, Trump has a meeting with Prayut Chan-o-cha, the Prime Minister of Thailand, which in Thailand, this is like a big deal. like, because he's usually in military garb. He's usually wearing his military uniform. Yeah. He puts on a suit and tie to go meet with Trump. You know, for the Prime Minister of Thailand to come to the United States and meet at the White House. For the Thai people, this was huge. And it's the morning after the Vegas shooting. So in the United States, that meeting gets no coverage. Trump does take the meeting. He does meet with Prayut Chan-o-cha that morning. And in fact, we're kind of running out of time, and I'll leave you with this. In 2013, 2014, I think it was, we had the MH370 plane that crashed. You remember that? We had a Malaysian Airlines plane that disappeared in mid-flight. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was Langley covering up an accidental shoot-down by the Thai military. We had just finished up Operation Cobra Gold. We do Cobra Gold like every year or every other year in Thailand. So we send our guys over there, and the U.S. military and the Thai military, run exercises and stuff. We teach them, F-16 stuff. And MH370 gets shot down like 3 days after Cobra Gold. I think it was an accidental shoot down by the Thais. We've got an eyewitness that says they saw something come down in the Gulf of Thailand, off the coast of Vietnam, where there's a million platforms out there, and one of the guys sights it and gets a sextant, and he's got the angles and he's got everything. He documents everything, documents his GPS location, and all of a sudden pieces start showing up at Reunion Island and Mauritius, and I'm like, come on, man, that's Langley.
Mauritius.
Yeah, the pieces started floating up on the beaches in Mauritius, and Trump.
That's like way over by Africa.
Yeah, well, because they want you to think it. Yeah, they want. That's what they want you to think it crashed. Trump made a comment recently, and he said, "I prevented a war between two countries, and nobody even knows about it." And I think that was between Thailand and Malaysia, and I think that he helped cover it up. We told everybody it crashed in the Gulf of India, and we got Australia to pay $100 million to go look for it for a year. We picked up the pieces in the Gulf of Thailand, and then we dropped them off the coast of Mauritius 2 years later. That's, yeah, I think that was an accidental shoot down after Cobra Gold. And I think that Trump prevented a war between Thailand and Malaysia. I could be wrong. I could be completely off base.
If he did prevent a war between Thailand and Malaysia, I'm very thankful.
That would have been hell. That would have been hell on the region, and would have put Singapore in a hell of a tight spot.
Oh, Singapore would be in trouble.
In a very tight spot. So, listen, we're going to get cut off. I can't thank you enough. Is there something that you want to promote, tell people about? What should they be looking at if they want to learn more about your work and support what you're doing?
Oh, thank you. Substack. I'm on Substack, and so I'll be publishing later, right now, actually, about the events over there in Iran.
Right.
Actually, which, let me say one thing about wars. They spread uncontrollably. They last longer than people expect, and the winners and losers often were not on anybody's bingo cards.
And with that, I'll say thank you very much, Michael Yon, for joining us here on Hypothetically Speaking. I'm John Cullen. Thanks for joining.
About you know it